Greetings everyone and welcome to another Board of Education meeting recap, this time for the month of November 2020. I'm your host, J.D. Harden, Executive Director of Communications and Public Relations, and joined as always by my co-host, Superintendent Mary Elizabeth Davis. Good to see you.
Well, thanks, JD, and it is great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
As always, we're here to bring you the latest action and efforts of our Board of Education in their monthly meetings, and we're going to kick things off this month by reflecting back on a whole board training that recently took place. And this whole board training was really around our board coming together and talking about the strategic plan that has become such an important part of the discussion of moving Henry County schools forward and into the next 5 years. And we had our board vice chair, Ms. Holly Cobb, provide a recap for our audience members and of course those that were watching at home about all the things that they did during that meeting earlier this month. So let's take a listen.
We had many conversations throughout the day about, okay, so now that we have this strategic framework in place, what metrics do we need to assign to this framework so that we know whether we're being successful or not? So we had lots of brainstorming sessions as a team, looking at different metrics and different things that we might want to put in place for the future of our school system.
Our Board of Education really has a level of commitment to this work that is garnering recognition across the state. And actually just recently, they were named a Governance Team of the Year finalist for the state of Georgia. We were pleased to celebrate them last night, and we look forward to the announcement of the Governance Team of the Year as November comes to a close. We'll keep you posted. I was also pleased to be able to introduce to the Board of Education as well as our community the elected officers for each of the superintendent's advisory councils this year. Our elected officers were in attendance at the board meeting, and we are really striving to just increase the alignment and the communication from community to boardroom to classroom. One of the key reasons our Board of Education is so widely respected and recognized in the state is the pursuit of engaging stakeholders, particularly community, family, student, teacher, and staff member stakeholder perspectives. And the incorporation of our advisory council in our board meetings and in the discussion of the work of the board is just another piece of evidence of the commitment this Board of Education has to the direction and future of Henry County schools. In today's recap and in future recaps, you're going to begin to hear the voices of our elected officers as they join us in giving you a glimpse of the work of our Board of Education.
I'm Tessa Tutuan, and I'm the president of the Student Advisory Cabinet for elementary school, and I'm reporting live from my elementary remote learning classroom. One of the first items that we had at the meeting was our plans for returning to school. We learned that remote learning would still be an option for the year, depending on if you want to return to school or if you want to stay at home and continue remote learning. If you want to change from going from remote to in-person school or from on-campus to remote, all you have to do is just contact the school and use their number, and they will reach you as soon as possible, and they would change you from remote to on campus. Students who go to the Academy of Advanced Studies, they are having a plan to open shortly.
This back-to-school season, of course, is on all of our minds, but a couple of the key components shared in our reports to the board included how we've seen an increase in the number of families opting for on-campus learning. There's been an increase from 36% of our families to now 41% of our families opting for the on-campus learning experience. Now that also is a key component of our back-to-school return, and that is families can make a choice to return to campus or return to remote at any given time. They just need to contact their school, and that process can be facilitated. We were able to look at reports that continue to communicate the health metrics of Henry County, as well as the health metrics of Henry County schools. I continue to invite you to visit our website in order to see the latest information related to our COVID-19 positive impact on our larger community of 239,000 community members and our Henry County Schools community.
Board, as you're aware, Henry County Schools has been one of the few school systems that began remote learning as quickly as we did, and also one of the few school systems that are offering our families options to participate in on-campus learning. As you look at this trend, I'll remind our board and the community that the top dark blue bar that you see there is the total cases in the 14-day new case rate per 100,000 residents in mid-July. And it's trended upward over time, over the last couple of weeks, and this is just one measure captured here. So we won't look at just this one measure, but it is trending slightly upward. However, it still remains below, as you see, far below those metrics in July that we were really, really concerned about.
It's also important to our Board of Education during this time that we are monitoring the learning experiences of each and every one of our students. The board report was able to include an update on the role our CARES teams at each of our individual schools are playing, and the number of home visits conducted by our social workers and counselors, and the number of engagement opportunities that our care team has had with individual students and families. It really is our desire to aid and support and partner with families during the season, both removing barriers to access one's education as well as creating new pathways. And we've also been really clear about what learning loss may or may not be taking place. And despite the national reports that learning loss is likely during this season, we are monitoring that closely. And as an average, do not actually see substantial learning loss, but our teachers are working dedicated to each child to provide interventions in the classroom, and our schools are providing interventions at the school level. It really is pretty remarkable that our gradual and staggered return to school campuses is complete. We will continue to offer a remote learning option for the remainder of the year, and we are already beginning to start our planning for the 2021-22 school year. So JD, I think it was a pretty good conversation about this season of returning to our on-campus learning.
You're exactly right, and of course we continue to work and reach out to our community to help us through this season. We know it's uncommon for everybody, but we appreciate the patience and the understanding, the support that's been afforded to us by our community, and it's just one of those key contributions to our ongoing partnership. Now, of course, our board meeting always includes a regular update on all the construction projects taking place all across the district, as well as a financial update for both our eSPLOS and our general budget. Now, one of the things that was celebrated last night by Ms. Willis, our Chief Financial Officer, was the conclusion and completion of all of our eSPLOS 4 projects. Now, eSPLOS 4 was started back 9 years ago. 2011 was when it was approved by the voters of Henry County, and we have completed, or I should say exhausted, all the funds that were earmarked for eSPLOS 4. Now, some of those big projects that were included and approved by our community include the building of Hampton High School, such a cornerstone piece for that particular community. We added expansions at Eagles Landing High School as well as Stockbridge High School, renovations at many of our schools across the district, as well as new buses and other infrastructure type items, because that's what eSPLOS is there for. It's for capital and infrastructure projects. We can't use it for any kind of personnel matters, but we can use it for those opportunities, and that really helps our budget when it comes to being able to set aside our general fund budget for largely student and teacher employee focuses, whereas we have the eSPLOS to help supplement and continue to provide the highest quality infrastructure, buildings, and capital projects for our district. Now, we've almost come to the conclusion of our eSPLOS 5 project list. We will start that here really soon, and that will roll into eSPLOS 6. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more information here coming out in the next few weeks and months about eSPLOS 6. And we've got some exciting things that will be put out as part of our project list, so stay tuned. We would love your feedback and can't wait to share our list with you. So moving from there, though, we went into another part that also helps support, or some of the things that come from this next item, which is our strategic plan does help guide all the other components that we talk about here. Our strategic plan starts everything. And Dr. Carl Knowlton, our Chief of Staff, was able to provide kind of a timeline of where we are in our strategic planning process.
Yeah, it's really been remarkable because November marks the anniversary of this process beginning 1 year ago. It was really the start through a survey, and 3,000 respondents really got our strategic planning development process underway. That, of course, transitioned into amazing community conversations at our local schools and at different town halls. And the actually first read of the strategic plan outline was on March 9th of 2020. Now, of course, we did not know what was on the horizon for us as a community when we had that first read, but despite the unusual circumstances that we've traversed since then, our board did officially adopt our strategic plan framework in July of 2020. But it's not done yet. We've now got to create an actionable plan out of that framework and really bring the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of our community to life. So Dr. Carl Knowlton was able to share an update on the board's work to establish what will those metrics of success include to determine that we are on the right path to ensuring a high-quality education for every child in every classroom in every school. And how will we start to build initiatives that drive at those metrics of success? So really in this update, I feel like it was new momentum to really drive the next body of work when we can bring back to our community what is our workable plan to guide us into the next 5 years.
And of course, our board members had some great feedback for Dr. Knowlton around his report and his presentation, and let's take a listen.
The board has been and continues to be committed to student learning, and I hope our citizens can see all the good work that's going into making sure that we're continuing and we care about student learning.
I just love that you mentioned March was when this was read aloud for the first time. That was the week before the world turned upside down. But I just appreciate that this was the voice of our community before we entered into these unusual and uncertain times. Of course, these times do kind of accelerate our need to move forward with this plan, but this is the work that was already beginning, and this is the voice of our community, and I'm so excited to see how it pushes us into the next 5 years. So thank you for that.
So as you can see, our board is excited about the work and the opportunity to engage our community in this important process of leading our school district for the next 5 years. Now, shifting gears over to a part that, a lot of our folks all across the community and of course all across the state are really digging into is the accountability piece during a time when we're trying to educate during a pandemic. And of course, Ms. Melissa Morse was able to update the board on Henry County Schools efforts.
Yeah, I think it's really, November is the month that we are typically learning what our state CCRPI scores look like and how that reflects the learning that took place the year prior. Well, without having a state accountability system in place right now, we still believe that public accountability is important and is something our Board of Education still expects us to take seriously. We believe that our pledge to our community is a high-quality education, and we've got to be prepared to show evidence of that. There were some really remarkable results that we were able to share, and I'd love to just listen in.
Look at first grade with me. We really can see some incredible growth. So if we look at the same group of kids who started as first graders, there in the top left hand, again, only 21.3% of them were reading on grade level or above as first graders. As second graders, they increased by 13.8% and were at 35.1% at the mid-year last year, reading on grade level or above. And then last year in third grade, mid-year again, they were at 54.5% reading on level or above. If you think about that, that truly is a remarkable amount of growth for our youngest readers.
Let's hear from Melanie Kellum, who serves as our elected officer for our secondary teacher advisory and also serves as our middle school teacher of the year. Go ahead, Melanie.
Hello, Henry County School System. My name is Melanie Kellum, and I'm reporting to you live from my school, McDonough Middle School, where I'm an 8th grade social studies teacher and the Henry County School District's Middle School Teacher of the Year for 2020. And I'm here to give you a recap of this week's board meeting as it pertains to accountability of instruction. Ms. Morris, who is the Chief of Learning and Performance at Henry County Schools, gave a wonderful report to the board that our literacy rates in our school district are improving. And so while other districts might see some decline because of the COVID-related issues, our district is still thriving. And that goes to the commitment and the dedication of our educators. Yes, you have put in the work to ensure that our children do not fall behind and that we are still offering them a great opportunity to learn and grow. Another indicator of our performance in instruction, Dr. Morris was not able to release, and that was our graduation rates. That was released yesterday, and Henry County Schools increased our graduation rate to 88.8%. Yes, we are still on our ambitious pursuit to be the fastest growing, fastest improving district in the metro Atlanta area. And it's all because of your commitment and your dedication to our students. And not only is it your commitment and dedication, but it's our students responding and still pursuing education and growing themselves and learning all that they can learn because you're offering those opportunities to them, you're engaging them. And we just love that our students are thriving right now. And we hope that they continue to do so. And I know that they will because we have the best educators in the Atlanta area.
Hello, I am Hannah Gruen-Moss, and I am the president of the Middle School Advisory for this year. I was a part of the board meeting, if you remember me from the superintendent's welcome. An interesting part of the board meeting for me was the accountability session where Ms. Morse was talking about how even though we are in a pandemic year and how national medias are writing off that ton of schools and kids are going to lose money, knowledge, and it's going to have to be a lot for kids to relearn, Henry County has managed to actually go up instead of going down like the national media outlets say.
Hey, I'm DeAndre Slayton, and I'm currently serving as the president of the Superintendent Advisory Council. And I had the pleasure of attending the last board meeting, and they made a proclamation making December 14th School Heroes Day. So I want you to join me in acknowledging and thanking all of our school heroes throughout your school. Now, can you do that?
The educators in Henry County School truly are heroes, and everyone is incredibly appreciative of their heavy lift during this very uncommon time in a school year. And we cannot thank our employees, our teachers, everyone all across this district for the work they do each and every day on behalf of students. And so we're excited to be able to recognize our teachers along with our community partners on December the 14th. So stay tuned for more information about that. Another business item that our board heard about was the legislative priorities that they adopted unanimously and will now send on to our legislative delegation ahead of the 2021 General Assembly. Each year, our board shares with our elected officials to the state legislature important items that really center around supporting education, public education in Henry County and across the state. And each year, that list is well received, and our elected officials do a remarkable job of really pushing to support, again, Henry County schools and public schools all across the state. We cannot thank them enough for the work that they do on behalf of the citizens of Henry County and, of course, on behalf of educators and public education officials all across the state, which in turn, again, supports our students. So thank you to our legislators for their incredible work. And lastly, big news, we're going back to Atlanta Motor Speedway for our graduates in 2021. Successful year last year as we had to shift gears, pun intended, to make it over to Atlanta Motor Speedway to provide a safe and responsibly distanced venue for our graduation ceremonies. And we're back again this year. We have a great partnership with Atlanta Motor Speedway, isn't that right?
That's right, and what we're pleased to be able to do is offer each of our high schools a customized graduation at that facility that is really going to allow for up to or maybe even more than 10 tickets per graduate, and really give that social distance spacing and also that really special experience for that graduation moment. Now, we know that many schools will also plan grand celebrations at the local school, but not knowing today what the conditions of COVID-19 will allow for in May, we knew that we needed to secure the dates so that families could prepare and also be able to commit to our graduates having just the best possible graduation experience ever. And I think it's going to be really remarkable.
So stay tuned for that as well. We received a lot of great feedback, and we're looking forward to another opportunity to celebrate the hard work of the class of 2021. Now, shifting gears again, we had the opportunity to celebrate, as always, as a part of the opening of our business session each month. Student inspiration, and Taylor Jones from Tussa Hall Elementary provided a great poem to kick things off during that meeting. Yeah,
definitely a point of inspiration. Let's listen in.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor Jones, and today I'll be reciting Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
In addition to student inspiration provided before each board meeting really gets going, we also have the opportunity to celebrate the hard work and accomplishments of our educators and our students. And this month, again, was no exception. We had the opportunity to celebrate our SB finalists, who we will be naming one SB winner for the district here very soon, and we'll celebrate them during our next month's recap. But we did celebrate 3 of our SB finalists. We had Primlada Miller from New Hope Elementary, we had Annette Alexander from McDonough Middle School, and we had Natalie Seelock from Union Grove High School. All 3 are competing for the district's top honor of our SB of the Year. We also had the opportunity to recognize 4 students for their participation in the Day Without Water art contest. So congratulations to our student winners from 4 different divisions all across our district. We also had 2 student representatives who were chosen to serve on State School Superintendent Richard Wood's Student Advisory Council. That'd be Jordan Pruitt from Dutchtown High School and Kalana Gibson from Stockbridge High School. Thank you for your willingness to serve and represent your fellow students, and on behalf of Henry County Schools at the highest level. And then we were also again able to recognize our Board of Education for being named one of GSBA's Large System Governance Team of the Year finalists. Such an incredible honor for this board, whether they are the ultimate recipients or not, the work that they have done to support learning and students in Henry County Schools is nothing short of remarkable. They do a phenomenal job, and we sing their praises each and every day.
That's right. It really is an honor, but it also is a reflection of their unified governance model that they have really dedicated a lot of working hours to developing. It's based on their core beliefs and commitments, their plan of action for a guarantee to a high-quality education and to keep student learning at the center of our work, and their now emerging strategic plan. They have become a really highly regarded Board of Education across the state of Georgia, and we do look forward to honoring them and the strong governance they provide for us.
And of course, we had a couple of new team members join up in the administrative ranks with Henry County Schools, isn't that right?
That's right. I always love to announce and welcome to the leadership team our newest members, and we got to applaud the appointment to Rock Spring Elementary as the newest assistant principal, and that's Stephanie Lindstrom. And I'd also like to announce the new assistant principal at Flippin Elementary, and that is Marlon Gilbert.
And at the conclusion of this month's meeting, we get the opportunity to remind everyone that it is Kindness Week, the second week of November, that we celebrate here in Henry County Schools, and thanks to a state resolution by our local representative, Andy Welch, back in 2012. The second week of November every year is Kindness Week all across the state of Georgia, but it started right here in Henry County Schools. And to that end, we are going to culminate, the end of that week will culminate with a recognition for our blue shirts on Friday the 13th. We are so incredibly honored to have such a dedicated, hardworking staff that made our school system, in a prepared state from all the modifications they had to make to enable a safe learning environment for both our staff and our students to come back to school in a very short order. We sing your praises, and we can't thank you enough for all you do on behalf of students and staff here in Henry County Schools. So that's it for the month of November. Great month, lots of great information. We're almost through 2020, and I know that brings a big sigh of relief for a lot of people, and we hope it does you, and we do appreciate you tuning in as always. We'll see you next month.
Thank you for watching this board meeting recap, or I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you soon.
As is the case with most board meetings, there's a lot more information that you're able to witness being there in person or watching the full version on demand that we're unable to bring to you here in this very short board meeting recap. The links to those presentations and videos can be found in the description section directly below this video.